Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today in this video we shall be talking about theory of profit and the concept of TR, AR and MR. So first of all, what is profit? Profit is the surplus a firm earns after covering all costs of production. Theory of profit. The theory of profit posits that profit is not a cost but a residual income. Its existence is attributed to four major things. First one is risk-bearing, reward for risk in uncertain environments. Innovation, temporary monopoly profits from introducing new ideas. Market imperfections arising from monopolistic power or barriers to entry into the market. Then exploitation, which means the surplus value extracted from workers. Now we shall look into the concept of revenue. So what is revenue? Revenue is the total amount of money a company generates from its primary business activities before any expenses are deducted. We have to note here that revenue is not profit. The clear distinction between revenue and profit is revenue is the total income from sales of goods or services, whereas profit or net income is what remains after subtracting all expenses, costs, and taxes from revenue. Now we shall look into what are TR, MR, and AR. TR, which stands for total revenue, is the total amount of money a firm receives from selling a given quantity of output. That said, we see that total revenue equals to product times quantity. AR stands for average revenue, is the revenue earned per unit of output sold. Therefore, we can see AR equals total revenue divided by quantity sold. If we replace the value of TR from the previous equation, then we see that AR becomes equal to the price. MR stands for marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is the additional revenue earned from selling one more extra unit of output. Therefore, marginal revenue equals to the change in total revenue for unit change in quantity sold. Now we shall look into the most important part, the relationship between TR, MR and AR. And for that we have taken a data table. We see that in the data table we have taken a quantity increasing from 1 to 10 and we have associated a price that falls down as the quantity increases. Then from the formula provided earlier we calculated the value of TR. In the first combination we see that the value of quantity is 1 and the price is 10. If we multiply this, then we get 10 ultimately. So in the next one we see that the quantity is 2 and the price is 9.5. Now if we multiply quantity with the value of price, we get 19. In this way we get the values of total revenue for the quantity 1 to 10. And then we calculate the value of MR. We have seen the definition of MR, and that is MR is the additional revenue earned from selling one more extra unit of output, and we have seen the formula that MR equals to del TR divided by del Q. So here we see that in the second case we see that the value of MR is 9. How is that? We subtract 10 from 19, which are the values of TR, and then divided by the quantity difference, that is 1, 2 minus 1, which equals to 1. So if we divide 9 by 1, we get 9 ultimately, so that's the value of MR here. In this way we proceed and find out all the values of MR. Now there is AR, average revenue. Average revenue is simply, we have learned that total revenue by quantity. And therefore in the first case we see that in the case of AR, we get the value 10 by dividing the total revenue value 10 with the value 1. Then in the second case, we see that we get the value 9.5. How we get that? We get that by dividing the total revenue value 19 with the quantity value 2, and thus we get 9.5. In this way, we proceed and complete the whole column for the values of AR. Now it's time to plot the points into the graph and make the curve. At first, let's plot the points from the table for TR and draw the curve like this. Then for MR and finally for AR. Now we shall look into this graph and try to understand what are the key points in the graph. By analyzing the graph, we can understand the relationship between TR, MR and AR in a better way. We see that TR is maximized where MR is 0. Why is that? We have previously seen that marginal revenue is equals to the change in total revenue for unit change in quantity sold. To explain this, we get back into the table. In the table, we see that as we approach from the value 10 to 9, the value of MR becomes 9. And when the MR value becomes 8, the TR value becomes 19 plus 8, 27. And then again, the MR value becomes 7, and thus the TR value from 27 plus 7 equals to 34. And we also notice that the value of MR is decreasing slowly, and at a point it will become 0 and go negative. So look at the last row where we can see that the value of MR is 1, and therefore the value of TR increased from 54 to 55, just 1 unit. So in the next column, what it would be, that the value of MR will be 0 and the value of TR will not change. And just after that, as the values of MR are decreasing, so the value of MR will be a negative value, and therefore by adding that to the total revenue value, it will be less than the previous one. Thus it will start decreasing. So which point it becomes maximum? When the MR becomes equal to 0. We have also seen this in the definition that MR is equal to E of TR divided by DQ. The next point is MR curve lies below the AR curve and falls twice as steeply. AR curve is the demand curve and is downward sloping. So why we are saying that AR curve is the demand curve? AR curve is a demand curve because from the earlier slides we have shown that AR is equal to TR divided by Q. Now we see that TR equals to product times quantity. So if we replace the value of TR with product times quantity, then we cancel out quantity and get price. So we see that AR simply equals to price of each commodity. So from the graph, we see that along the horizontal axis there is quantity, and along the vertical axis there is average revenue, which is price. So if there is quantity in the horizontal axis and price in the vertical axis, and we see the relationship between them is actually nothing but a demand curve. Therefore, we can say that AR curve is demand curve, and we know that demand curve is downward sloping. So for the same reason, AR curve is also downward sloping. So why MR curve is twice as steep than the AR curve? For this, let's explain. When a firm lowers the price to sell more, AR falls slowly because it's just the price. But MR falls faster since lowering the price applies not just to the new unit but also to all previous units sold. This extra loss makes MR decline and double the rate of AR. So graphically, AR is a straight downward sloping line, that's the demand line, and MR is also a straight line starting from the same point on the revenue axis, but it falls twice as quickly. That's why it is twice as steep.